Right, now then, I'm back. I'm back in Dubai, and it's a new podcast, and hot on the heels of the no Daleks in this one. Sorry to tell you. I've just travelled back by plane, and I have to say that the experience of travelling by plane, my goodness, I mean, come on. It's such a hassle, isn't it? I mean, back in the day, when we decided to leave Africa, maybe about, I don't know, 60,000 years ago, what happened there? We just said, hey, you know what? It's probably only about 10,000 humans at that point, so we were pretty thin on the ground. So a little bunch of people went, yeah, let's just go over there. We'll just head over there. Look, there's a river. We can just cross over. So it was, I think, about, because I've done some research on this, about 14,000 years ago that we finally could say that humans were everywhere on the planet. We'd migrated out of Africa, where we'd evolved. Early Homo sapiens evolved, and we'd migrated out. I think we went up through, obviously, the Middle East first, into Asia, and then we crossed over the Bering Straits and went down into North America. And eventually, I think by approximately 14,000 years ago, we got as far as South America. But it wasn't as if there was this, group of people with a flag going, yes, let's march on now. This is part of this amazing Project Human, the Project Human Genome. We're gonna send it to the far corners of the earth. It was, by the time we got to South America, I would imagine it was just a question of, because the pace of movement was very, very slow. And we got as far as South America, and the last little bit was, should we just go down there? Should we just move down there a little bit? We've been here for half a dozen years. Let's just go over the top of that hill and get down, So the whole pace of this movement around the planet was really slow. So what's my point? Well, my point is that, of course, we live in a technological age these days, and we are so fortunate in that we can move around the planet incredibly quickly. But it comes at a cost, I feel, because I think it was Morrissey who said, the minute you get into an airport, they're treating you like a piece of meat. And I was just thinking about it, and my journey back, just a little hop back from Qatar to Dubai, goodness gracious. Well, let's just talk you through it. Okay, so the first thing, get out of the taxi, and the building, clearly with lots and lots of doors. I could go into any of those doors to enter the airport, but no, I chose the one next to where my taxi had parked. He found it difficult to get a parking space. I walk in this entrance, and it's cordoned off. There's a new system now, certainly in the Middle East airports. No one can go into the airport. No one can go into the airport unless they are traveling. So there is a passport check one, to get you into the airport. Okay, which there are a few issues with people picking you up. I remember years ago, people were traveling into China, into Beijing, and I was sent, I think one of the students came along with me actually, and she was a composition student, and we parked ourselves in a coffee shop, and I was chatting away, and I seem to remember I was telling her about Nicholas Moore's violin concerto, and I said, you really should check this out, Nicholas Moore's violin concerto. She was really into composition, and I said, just have a listen to that. So she must have been listening to it for 15 minutes. Took my phone, listening away to Nicholas Moore. I went off, got a coffee, top up coffee. Eventually, the people who were coming in from Malaysia or wherever they were coming in from arrived, and we'd put them on the bus and then go back and wait another hour or two for some more people to come in. We were hosting a music conference. So that would be unbearable now. You'd have to sit in a van or a car or a bus in the car park outside. You wouldn't be able to go in and avail yourself of any of the facilities of the airport. Not a chance. You'd be hovering around. There's one little area which is just cordoned off, which is just undercover, where you can go in and get a bit of shade. That was where I walked in, but there was no checkpoint, so there was no way I could walk through there without going through a cordoned off barrier and alerting security, which I didn't want to do. So I had to get back out, walk down to another entrance and walk in. And I seem to remember somebody telling me that, you're not allowed into the airport unless you're traveling. So I had to show my passport. Check one. Okay. By the way, the Nicholas Moore concerto, if you want to check it out, is well worth checking it out. There's only one performance of it. Joshua Bell on violin, with Roger Norrington conducting the London Philharmonic Orchestra. Anyway, moving on. So anything to make your lives less civilized, I think. So then I go to queue number one. Queue number one is queuing up for my boarding pass, which is where, of course, I get my ID checked again, because if they don't check my ID, you know, the ticket, you just show your passport, they put it into the system and they generate a boarding pass. So that's basically check two, isn't it, right? Oh, and there was a little incident. Travelled out from Dubai, no issues, no problem, with a walk-on bit of hand luggage and a laptop. But on the way back, oh, you're over your allowance. We'll allow it just this one time. And I said, well, you know, hang on. I was allowed to take it out on the first leg of the journey. What's changed? Oh, there's an allowance. So I thought, hold on, I could see everybody else also with a laptop and a bag, so I don't know what's going on there. So that was unpleasant. Then I have to queue, I have another check. Another guy checks me before I can join another queue to get exit from the country. So I've had check two to get the boarding pass, check three before I'm allowed to join queue number two. So queue number two is where I go to have clearance, I guess. So it's to get out of the country. You get a little stamp, somebody looks at you, takes a little scan of your face, so that's queue number two. And check number four, the guy in front of me actually was waiting, you know, standing in position. There's a little footprint marked helpfully on the floor where you have to stand and face. It's pretty obvious that you have to face this mirror, and that's their job, and it scans you up and down. And he was standing there, the guy in front of me. Maybe it just seemed that long, you know, for such a long time. I thought that the machine had broken and she was doing a kind of pencil likeness, but no. Eventually I got there, and that was queue number two, check number four. Then you have the indignity of the scan. So you have to take your laptop out of your bag. Can't possibly scan through a bag, which makes you wonder, doesn't it, about the scanning abilities to scan inside people's suitcases. If you have to take your laptop out of your bag, I wonder what's the thinking behind that. So you always have to take your laptop out of your bag, take your belts off, take your shoes off. I came well equipped with easily removable sandals. So yesterday I travelled with easily removable sandals, and I was ready for this. I was ready to whip them off at a moment's notice, but I wasn't asked to. So I was kind of cheated there, you know. I thought, come on, I'm all ready for you, and I didn't have to take my shoes off. So that's check number four. And then we get, like I said, we get the scan, and then you got to find your gate. Guess what? At the gate, you going to be fine to get on the plane? No. Check number 5 happens at the gate. They check again, and then you get to the plane. Can you walk straight on the plane? No, can't do that, because you get another check. Now, supposedly they're checking to tell you where to sit, but you know what? If they put a little diagram on your ticket to indicate what side of the plane, you're nearly always coming on the left-hand side as you're facing the direction of travel, aren't you, right? That's normally the way you're getting on the plane. So all they've got to do is do a little diagram on your printed boarding pass to show where your ticket is in real, and you could find the right gangway. You know whether to walk across. It's just, I think, another chance to check. So I'm counting that as check number 6. And of course, you've got your checks when you get off the plane at the other end. And it's a nightmare, I tell you, it's an absolute nightmare. I find the experience of getting through those checks at the airport more stressful. People get stressed by flying, don't they? They go, oh, I'm scared of flying, you know. Basically, if anything happens up there, you've had it. You might as well not worry. Anyway, so I find the actual airport much more stressful than the experience of flying. It's a good bit. You know, my flight yesterday took 50 minutes. And I'm not enjoying it at all. It's funny though, some people seem to be enjoying the whole idea of getting on a plane. I was looking around, I thought, I wonder if everybody is as worked up and as uptight as me. And I'm looking around, people watching, because there's nothing else to do when you're in a queue. It's dead time. Nothing you can do. You can't get a coffee, you can't go to the toilet, you can't sit down, you've got to keep shuffling along. It's the most horrible experience, short of torture. It is a form of mild torture, as long as you're not experiencing torture in your life. This is kind of the kind of non-torture torture. Anyway, so I'm looking around, and some people, there was one guy, he just looked blissfully happy, smiling. I thought, why is he so happy, right? And then I could see he was with some friends, and he's waving. There's some people who are further down the queue than him, and he's beckoning to them, waving, so to say, look, I'm here now. I thought, well, it doesn't take a lot, does it? And then you've got the annoying child. I always seem to have an annoying child near me, shouting and screaming and swinging on those little partitions, and they've got the queue and they fold the queue around so it doesn't look as long. They're not fooling anyone. So they think, well, they must have worked it out in advance. There's going to be a pretty big queue here. Think how much smaller airports could be if there was one check. And they said, right, let's do a security check. We'll scan your cases. We'll print your boarding pass. We'll take your luggage off you if you're going to not walk on with it. If you're going to walk on with luggage, we'll take the luggage if you want it. And that's it. It's all done and dusted, and you're in. Anybody who wants to come into the airport, who wants to see you off, or is meeting someone, like in the good old days, they can also go through a security scan, and that's it. And so there's a bank of scanners, the length of the entrance to the airport, and that's it. You're in. And pretty much, the building would be much smaller because you then make your way to the gates. So there'll be a little area in the middle where you've got, stuff to eat, things to do whilst you're waiting, and then the gates, and that's it. Now they've the building must be, 50% bigger than it needs to be. But what do I know, eh? Well, what do I know? I know quite a lot, actually. Damn it. And I've just been watching an inspirational documentary about Elon Musk and his new Gigafactory. How good is that guy? How amazing is Elon Musk? Just to go off on a tangent, not to mention his commitment to renewable energy, his creation of the Tesla power pack, which is going to harness solar power and keep it so that you can use it later. You've got the electric car, the Gigafactory I've mentioned, not to mention the small little company SpaceX and the possible exploration of Mars. And anyway, going back to the Gigafactory, it's CAD, it's computer-aided design, and it's making every possible usage of its footprint. The size of this factory is huge, but there's no waste. It's been designed to be optimally efficient in terms of what goes on any particular piece of floor. Unlike an airport, which has got so much dead space and so much unnecessary checking. And I know, the whole deal of security, but you need one. Why do we need, count them, 6 checks? I think I've got that right. 6 checks. Okay. So we get on the plane. Before I get on the plane, this is the good bit. So the queuing and the waiting and the checking and the pulling off belts and taking off shoes and once you finally get through that little lot, it's quite pleasant. You've got it's like a little shopping centre in there. I went for something to eat and was told very briskly there are no coffees. The coffees aren't working. Nothing. No coffees, no cappuccinos, American coffee, nothing at all. So I went, okay. Nice little restaurant, sitting down, order my food and an orange juice. Not a bad substitute. People sit next to me, unnecessarily close, I felt. But luckily they weren't a talkative couple. She grunted out her order, and they didn't have a lot of conversation, and they were very quiet. So thankfully for that. Anyway, she ordered a coffee. And the waiter took it, different waiter, with no problem. I said, hey, excuse me, just as he was pulling away. I waited till they finished with him. Hold on, I was told, a couple of minutes ago, literally it was a couple of minutes, the coffee machine was out of order. I said, if it is working, I said, I'd like a cappuccino. But if it isn't working, you need to tell these guys here. They might be disappointed. I'll go and find out. So I didn't get any return visit from him. I just got the cappuccino in a few minutes. I thought, what was going on there? Maybe it was just a temporary break of the cappuccino. So I didn't need that, especially after all the queue-related stress. Absolutely not. So I'm having a nice bit of food, and then we get on the plane, and what can possibly go wrong? Everything's good on the plane, except how many announcements do they make? Now, I'm getting on the plane, and so I'm thinking, right, it's only a short little journey, but damn it, I'm going to go straight into some entertainment. Nobody's sitting next to me, that's an added bonus, but the guy is making up for it, 2 seats down, fidgeting and twitching and fiddling around. Luckily he's not next to me, so small mercies, right? So I check out my headphones, tuned in my little TV in front of me, been tuned into the cartoon channel. I thought, this does not bode well for these headphones that have presumably been used already, and I checked them out, and they're broken. So I can imagine some kid fiddling with them. The headphones sticking out, a 45-degree angle from my ear instead of lying flat, sticking straight out. I thought, this is no good. So I changed my headphones with the seat next door, you see, and they're fine. And off I go, and I'm looking for films, and finally settle on a really good film, and I'm going to recommend this one to you guys. Elvis Meets Nixon. All right, Elvis Presley meets Richard Nixon. Now, this meeting took place in 1970. We know it took place because there's a photo of it, and basically there's been a couple of attempts at weaving a little story around this meeting. What happened, what did they say, what was the build-up, and so on. Now, I haven't seen the first one, but this is the most recent one, and Kevin Spacey plays Nixon, does a really good job actually playing Nixon. Very believable, good impersonation. He got that kind of gruff demeanor. Initially he doesn't want to meet Presley. It's a great a little story. And Michael Shannon, never heard of him, but he plays a kind of there's a great scene actually, I'll tell you this, when Elvis is flying to, I guess presumably Washington, to meet the president. He's trying to set up a meeting with the president. It's not been set up before he flies, and these Elvis impersonators come up to him and say, "Oh, look at you, yeah, nice." They assume that he's another Elvis impersonator, and they say, "Well, the real Elvis would never wear that, check it out." And then this guy starts singing an Elvis song to Elvis, who's looking suitably unimpressed, slouched in his chair. So it's a good film. It's got nice little moments like that. So yeah, I'm watching this. But how many times do we get little announcements? Fair enough, the safety announcement, but introducing the cabin crew, captain's little speech, a little bit of information about the food, the weather, when we're going to kick off, the fact that we've got a late passenger, every little excuse, somebody's got something to say. And of course we get it in 2 languages. We get it in Arabic and we get it in English, and it cuts my feed. I can't choose not to listen to it. It cuts into what I'm listening to through the headphones. It takes precedence over that, you see. Now, I don't mind the safety announcement doing that, but every other little announcement, surely they could distinguish between the really crucial safety announcement and all the other peripheral stuff, right? But no, you've got to hear it, and it's mixed at a much higher level. So I'm trying to catch this mumbling Elvis. Hey guys, there's a lot of people out there. I'm trying to get into that, and then suddenly, really loudly, I've got the announcement about the duty free or whatever it is, and that just goes on. It's constant. Anyway, I managed to get through a fair bit, not all of it, but I managed to get through a fair bit of that film. And so that's basically it, really. It's just a quickie, just to keep you up to speed with what I've been up to. And not much going on. Donald Trump, goodness, aka Biff Tannen, Suddenly I was listening to the news today, and suddenly some Republican people are coming out of the woodwork saying the guy is of unsound mind and shouldn't go anywhere near the White House and shouldn't be allowed to. Hold on. Where were these people 12 months ago? You know, his campaign's been going a long time. They're suddenly deciding that he's a bad idea, and they don't want him. They want him to be unnominated. It's a little bit like the referendum. You know, it's a mistake. You can see it coming. It's like a political tsunami. You can see the Trump getting in the White House, and everybody's going to. It's a bit like waking up the night after, you know, the day after the night before, and going, "Who the hell is this?" You know. Anyway. Donald Trump's in your bed with you. So, yeah, that's what's going to happen. America is going to wake up with Donald Trump, and they have to make him breakfast and be nice to him until he goes on his way. So, that's about it, guys. So, I'm going to leave it there. Just a quickie, just to get back into the swing of things and to check out that my microphone is still working. All right, have a nice one.